Skinwalkers and succubi, hark to the footpads of the ferocious ground squirrel. Pray that 'tis the owl who is screeching and not the souls of the lost. And thank God we had a hearty meal of beans before jamming ourselves into this tiny airtight tent.
This, my friends, is what happens when Omen has never heard this song or read the lyrics before. This is Talk Tull to me. What?
I do like beans, actually, and they don't give me gas so much.
I just watched the Good Eats episode on beans. Some good recipes in there.
Nice. Welcome back to the P-Pod. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the Feckless Moans.
And this, my delicious crustaceans, is Talk Tull to me.
A hard-earned campcraft badge on the Cub Scout uniform of prog rock.
Uniform.
In which, not there it's a flood zone, Nick, and open up a can of Sterno Omen. We'll rub together each and every song that rodent hole rock band Jethro Tull has ever let us gather around in the cold and the dark. We will pound the David tent pegs deep into the flesh of the earth. We will dig a Doan Perry privy trench, complete with a little branch to hold the TP, and we will roast some Martin Bar marshmallows to make snowbird s'mores. And if we can survive the sleepless dark hours and beat off 10,000 mosquitoes, we may live to see the dawning of the musician of the early morn, the gnat-netting of non-standard tunings, the conductor of kindling, the Scottish solar shower, a man so prepared his flute has a built-in survival blanket, Ian Anglerfish Anderson.
That's why it's so shiny, it's that emergency blanket.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you unscrew the headpiece, you get a little fishing line in there.
Nice.
It's great, yeah.
Beat off 10,000 mosquitoes. Your arms will be real tired.
Yeah. But it's a great way to make 15 cents. Nick,
to make good friends.
What is the occasion that brings us together on this spooky afternoon?
Well, goodness me, we are officially done with Catfish Rising as of this week. We are covering that final bonus track that was on a reissue in 2006, I think you said
that
last
sounds
week?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. This is the song "Night in the Wilderness."
Night in the Wilderness,
which, as mentioned earlier, is a brand new song for you, Omen Sade. It is so fresh, so clean.
Not to be confused with "In the Night of Wilderness," a song by Blackmill. Okay, enough of that nonsense.
I don't hate it.
Okay, it has a squirrel on the cover.
I like it even more.
You had me at squirrel. Nick, let's have a listen.
Let's tromp into the darkness and hunt some snipe.
Nick McGill.
Omen Thomas Sade. As I am wont to do when we listen to a song that you have not heard until now.
Yeah.
I want to know your first thoughts. Immediate, off the cuff, what does that 4-minute song do for you?
I had a positive reaction to it. I definitely registered it as a song, positively identified it.
Okay, great.
This must have been written and recorded at around the same time as the rest of Catfish.
Had to have been.
In Silent Singing, it says that Night in the Wilderness was the B-side of a Rocks on the Road single released in 1991, which makes a lot of sense and is a fascinating pairing.
Yeah.
But I think because I was listening to it without the emotional, nostalgic context, it struck me as so American.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
It probably has a lot of the same elements as the rest of the album does. But because it was new to my ear, I was like, oh my God, it sounds like ZZ Top.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. I get it. Interesting.
Which isn't a bad thing. It was very evident to my ear. That was my first impression of it. Was like, wow, this really is an American blues rock sounding piece.
Yeah.
With occasional flute stuff.
Right. I like to dabble in flute stuff.
Occasional flute stuff too.
I didn't think about it in the moment, but yeah, it's such an American sound. And it totally fits in that theme, in that sonic theme that we've been hearing this whole time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's Jethro Tull took a dip in the muddy, muddy waters of the Mississippi.
And came out born again American.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Here are some things I observed about the song.
Yes. Musically.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of references to crustaceans.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's lyrically, though.
That is lyrically. I love how thumpy it is. I love how bluesy it is.
Mm-hmm.
Martin's guitar playing is really, in kind of his chameleon way, a really incredible imitation of that American guitar sound. Wow, 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 wow.
I love that opener.
Wow, wow,
it's so fun.
And he stays away from his like squeal type stuff.
Yeah, no, not really stingy here at all. Maybe a couple of light interjections. But when it comes to interjections, it's the flute and it's Ian's voice. We got a lot of ejacs in this. He's just so enthused.
And what's interesting is that he is both ejaculating between and on the lines.
Yes.
So sometimes he's going line, 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 line.
What's wrong with the cut of my jib? Ooh. What's wrong with the cut of my jib? Ooh.
And sometimes he's going, I forget exactly where. Maybe it's, who's got tabs on the crab?
Who's got the tabs on the crab?
He's playing with the lines in a way that is a little atypical to what we've heard before on this album and a lot of fun.
It's like he was reserved through the entirety of the album, even though they got out. He controlled it as much as he could, but some still slipped out. And at the very end, they're like, "Okay, Ian, just go, just get it all out now."
He said, "Now, boys, let's do a silly one."
Yes.
There's something that feels rougher about this track. Like, it's funny because on the one hand, listening to it, I was like, oh, I can understand why they didn't release this with the album. But actually, they did release it with the album just as a single.
Right.
But there's something a little bit rougher about the vocal lines in that it feels... The notes that Ian is singing seem more like suggestions.
Okay.
Than really locked down in some places. And I think it's a stylistical choice.
It's almost conversational.
Yes, it is.
Where there's no stakes in singing it like properly, for lack of a better term. You know,
absolutely.
It's like he's just telling us this. And that's very bluesy. That's a very bluesy delivery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even in the tradition of the blues, there is that conceit of talking between lines.
Mm-hmm.
The part where the vocal line feels the most, where that element of it being imprecise sticks out to me the most is on the line, "I'm in splendid isolation. I feel that heavy silence fall." Because the guitar is doing this kind of complex departure from the normal melody and playing with that it sort of sounds like deep, 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 beep, 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 beep. And Ian is singing that, but not quite with such precision as the guitar is playing it. So it just sounds a little bit funny in that one moment to me.
Okay, so you're saying that's an example of it being a little less polished?
Yeah, that's where I noticed it. And then I realized that is, I think, a stylistical choice that pervades the whole song.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Could it not just be more of that bluesy kind of loosey-goosey off the cuff feel?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel, it feels like Ian Anderson is doing the blues where it's loosey-goosey and there are parts that kind of don't line up, but it's all so precision structured with Ian making sure every moment that doesn't sound like it's hit is actually hit, you know?
Yeah, yes. It's Andy Ianson from Alabama.
Yes. Yeah, his long-lost cousin.
The long-lost Anderson cousin, yeah.
His name is Jethro, actually. That works pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Great flute work in this. All the way throughout. Not big solos, if I'm recalling correctly.
No, I don't think so. It's really a lot of interjections, a little piece here and there, a little tweet here and there. Nothing substantial in terms of length.
There's something in the very beginning. I think maybe it's the first time we hear the flute where it's that long trill that starts us off.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something that we'll hear later on with .com. It could also be Pigeon flying over the Brooklyn Zoo. Ode to a pigeon flying over the Bronx Zoo. Something about a pigeon.
And a zoo.
Something about a pigeon and a zoo.
That's from
Rupee's Dance.
From Rupee's Dance, yeah.
Deep, deep, deep. He starts that out with one of those really long trills.
Yep. Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of a foreshadowing of albums that, what was that, 2003 for both of them, right?
I thought .com was 1999.
Oh, that's right. It was. What was 2003? Oh, the Christmas album was 2003.
Yeah.
So almost 10 years for either one of them. So it's clearly a sound that he kind of has been thinking about and really wants to put back in. Yeah.
Percolating. Great tambo playing toward the end of the song. Very enthusiastic.
I didn't even clock that, and I'm embarrassed.
I put some spice in your ice. You give me blues in the stew.
At about 3 minutes 20, 22-ish, we get some extremely slappy bass. I think it's the electric bass, but you hear it. It's the bass equivalent of taking off your wet swimsuit and chucking it on the linoleum floor.
Flump.
Yeah, it just sounds like it's juicy.
Yeah, it's super solid. The bass is really funky all throughout, but that moment in particular was like, wow.
You can practically hear Dave Pegg's mom being like, David, don't leave that there. I'm not going to clean it up. I'm not going to clean up after your bass playing.
How many times do I have to tell you? Yeah.
That's what the outdoor bass is for.
Don't bring the outdoor bass inside. False ending. We got a false ending at about 3:30.
We sure do.
Been a while since we had one of those. And it's not just like a quick little fade out back in for like 2 hits and then we're gone. We have another 30, 20 seconds of that wrap up, which those are the really fun false endings that I'm fairly fond of is let's go through this whole theme again.
And that's where we get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Yeah. He's into it. He's very into it.
Another night in the wilderness of you.
I do get the sense that he, the rest of the album, and maybe you could make an argument that this is less cut and dry, but I feel like for the rest of the album, it is very much Ian playing this new Tull style of Americanized British blues. For this track, it feels like he's really entering into a character.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I think so. He's very much embodying something here.
And again, I think you could make that argument for, I'm just going back to the catalog. I think that This Is Not Love or Occasional Demons, there is a bit more of that character sound.
Sparrow.
Sure, there are elements of it.
Yeah.
I think that it is the most pronounced and the most observable in this track.
Yeah. Although one thread to tie it all together is that Billy Goat voice. Very solid in here.
A very good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had better deep discussions with a latest soft crab. Yes, I have.
I never watched South Park really at all, but I dated a girl who, I don't think she watched it regularly, but there was a reference in there that she referenced that Stevie Nicks, they portray Stevie Nicks as a goat because she kind of has a goat voice thing too.
Hey guys, it's Stevie Nicks. Oh, wow.
Nah,
Can I get a picture? Miss, over here, Miss Nicks.
nah.
Oh, Miss Nicks, I don't want to bother you, but could you sing a quick Fleetwood Mac for us? Could you? Oh, yeah, come on. Great.
That's very funny. Yeah, she also is a weirdo.
Stevie Nicks? Or that,
yes.
that girl I dated?
Probably both, but definitely Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. But in a good way?
Depends if you like goats.
I do like goats.
I do like goats.
You're only halfway there.
Do you want to see the cat?
Yes. Let's see the cat.
Katie went to get her haircut today,
Her hair did?
and her hairdresser had been requesting to meet Bert. And so
My God.
Bert got taken in his pod and got to explore the salon today. And then he got very stressed out on the way back, and he escaped from his pod in the car and pooped on Katie's jacket.
What a good cat. I mean, aside from the pooping, but like none of my cats will brook being touched, barely touched, let alone held like that.
Well, and apparently the coat was in a cardboard box. And so Katie was like, he was trying to go in the box. He was trying to like find the closest thing to his litter box.
It's Katie's fault then.
Yeah, why was there a coat in that perfectly good impromptu litter box?
I couldn't even tell you.
We're thinking about getting a kitten.
Don't do it.
No, why not? We should.
Don't do it. There's so much work.
I know what a kitten is.
It's a baby cat, Omen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. As long as we're clear. Nowhere near as much work as a puppy.
True.
Oh, puppy.
Okay. We're thinking Bert needs a buddy, like an emotional support kitty.
Yeah.
And one is up for adoption through a friend of Katie's.
For free, right? You don't have to pay for it?
I think it's free. Yeah, free-ish.
Okay.
As free as a free kitten is. So terribly expensive.
Yeah.
Katie was like, we could name him Ernie so they could be Bert and Ernie. And I was like, that's very funny. But in the same way that Bert is short for Robert Pattinson the cat, we should have Ernie be short for the importance of being earnest.
Yeah, perfect. I was trying to think of what Ernie could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that works.
Did briefly consider Ernest Hemingway, but the importance of being earnest is a much better name. for
Much
a cat.
better. Much better. Yeah.
And Oscar Wilde was a homosexual.
Love me some Oscar Wilde.
Yes, he would have loved you too.
I don't know. I'm not pretty enough for Oscar Wilde. I don't think.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Are you saying that I'm pretty, or are you saying that Oscar Wilde was any port in a storm?
I'm saying you're pretty enough for Oscar Wilde.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. No, if that biopic with Stephen Fry is at all factual, he liked the slightly, like, just masculine enough men, but not too masculine.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, sure. He liked the 18th century version of a twink, whatever that was.
No, I mean, just I'm just masculine enough.
Oh, I see. I see
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you're saying. For Oscar Wilde.
And honestly, if he makes me laugh,
That's, yeah, exactly.
that's all I need.
Nick, welcome back to the second part of the podcast in which we discover the lyrics and perhaps even the meaning behind them, although don't hold your breath.
I hadn't even started breathing yet to hold it. So,
Okay.
so a lot of crustaceans.
A lot of crustaceans. What do poets mean when they say the wilderness? Wilderness is often a stand-in or a metaphor for something.
Correct. Yeah.
In the original book of Moses, it wasn't 40 years in the desert, it was 40 years in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Wilderness Lodge is a family-style resort at the Walt Disney World Vacation Club.
Okay. Wilderness is untamed, is something that you have to be prepared for. It is possibly dangerous if you are not prepared for.
Sure. Yeah.
And in this case, it is in particular, the line is another night in the wilderness of you.
Another night in the wilderness of you.
So, following along the same line you were on, I think there's an element of unpredictability of, even if you do prepare, there's a harshness, there's an uncaringness to the wilderness because it is not constructed for your benefit.
But there's also this aspect in this song, I think, of like the thrill of the hunt, which takes place in the wilderness.
That's very true, yes. Going back a little bit to perhaps a reference back to the sort of pagan-y roots of a lot of the Tull work in the 60s, in the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I do think that, I think we have this dichotomy of, which Ian is very fond of addressing a dichotomy here. You know, there's the wilderness could be incredibly dangerous and you wouldn't survive more than a day. Or if you're prepared and know what you're doing, it could be very fruitful, it could be very bountiful and fecund.
Hence the crustaceans. Now, there is a strong maritime vibe to this wilderness.
Right.
I could be sitting on the left of you, you'd be looking straight ahead. If I was adrift right across from you, you would still cut me dead.
Could be sitting on the left of you. Ooh, you'd be looking straight ahead. If I was adrift right across from you, you still would cut me dead.
I think that's a sailing reference.
It feels like it because we have a couple more down the line. But it also, to me, it's this cutout of the sailing references placed on top of a date.
Yeah.
I see this as a date. They are sitting across from one another at a table.
Yeah.
I've had better deep discussions with this plate of soft-shelled crab.
I've had better deep discussions with this latest soft-shelled crab. Yes, I have.
Right, so they're eating something. It could be at a restaurant or it could be the catch of the day that they've just...
Right, on their pirate ship, you know?
Yeah. It's what I love about this song is that the lyrics of this is that the images are descriptive enough to draw you in, but they don't give it to you all right away in terms of what it's actually about.
Yeah. Very, very Ian. You know, I've come to expect that and I have not been disappointed by it.
I'd put some spice in your rice, you'd give me blues in the stew. Whew.
I put some spice in your rice. You give me blues in the stew.
Right. So I'd be good for you. This would be exciting. I would spice up something that's normally bland and you would make me sad.
Right? I'd give you catfish jumping.
Catfish.
This catfish reference to the album, of course. The idea, like you were saying, of fecundity, it's something great coming from nature.
Yep.
You'd give me all this work to do.
I give you catfish jumping. You give me all this work to do.
I would provide for you. I'd give you the catfish jumping. I'd bring you food, whatever, hunter-gatherer. And you would revel in it, I guess, like, is he saying, I will do everything for you? Or is he kind of complaining that it's kind of a lopsided relationship as far as this date seems to be going?
I definitely get the feeling that it's a lopsided relationship.
Yeah.
And that he may be committing himself and complaining in the same breath.
Yes, that's very good. That sounds right. Yeah.
There is this typical long-held idea about hunter-gatherer societies that the men would go and hunt and then bring back the catch and the women would cook it. Now, of course, there's new evidence to say that it was not really divided along gender roles and that the grandmothers were the best hunters, but certainly as a reference that somebody could make to it feels like he's saying, I'm going to go and catch and hunt this catfish and bring it to you. And instead of you breaking it down and frying it and serving it up for both of us, you're saying, great that you caught it. Now get to work.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're finally back. Well, you better get cooking.
Yeah.
Who's got the check on this hot dinner? Who's got the tabs on the crab?
Who's got the check on this hot dinner? Who's got the tabs on the crab?
Who's paying for this? It's kind of this this assumption of, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Right. That's the present day hunter-gatherer of who's picking up the check.
But I also love the image of like the crab running away and being like, wait a minute, who saw the crab last?
Well, tab is also Bill, too.
Yes, a bit of a funny double image.
Yeah. Then we get into a kind of a chorus, I would say.
Uh-huh.
Another night in the wilderness should have been a night on the town. Lesson in learning how to hold a conversation down. I'm in splendid isolation, feel that heavy silence fall. Got all this cut out for me to do. Another night in the wilderness of you.
Another night in the wilderness should have been a night on the town. Lesson in learning how to hold a conversation down. I'm in splendid isolation, feel that heavy silence fall. Got all this cut out for me to do. Another night in the wilderness of you.
It's a lot going on in that chorus.
Yeah.
So the first line, or the first two lines, night in the wilderness versus night on the town, we could take that literally, like I'm stuck out here on the nighttime fishing boat when I would like to be onshore partying. But more likely it's, here we are out at this nice restaurant and it should be quote unquote a night on the town, which is fun going out and happy times.
Yeah.
But instead I'm in the wilderness. I don't know what's going on. I'm not in control. I'm not prepared. It's raining.
I think it could also be a night on the town would just be enjoying the moment with this person. Whereas in the wilderness, it's like, oh, I got to work for this.
That's an interesting way of putting it and an interesting way of thinking about the wilderness, that in order to get close to what we consider standard comforts, you have to work so hard.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that short story, To Build a Fire?
No, but you told me about it, I think. Doesn't it end up with like the dog running off or something?
Yeah, the guy dies. The guy freezes to death in the Alaskan wilderness.
Yeah, you told me about it. I've never read it.
And it's a great, I mean, it's kind of a whatever of its time, but it's a great example of somebody who even knows how to deal with the wilderness, making one slight error and it just cascading into his death.
Yeah. And who knows what error could have been made like right before the start of this song. And maybe this is that avalanche. This is that evolution of what is going to happen at the end, which we don't actually see. We don't actually see anything definitive by the end.
You're right. It reminds me a little bit of Sleeping with the Dog.
Yeah.
In Sleeping with the Dog, it's more everything was going well and then I made one mistake and now I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Everything was going shitty. I made a mistake and now it's going even shittier.
Right. Lesson in learning how to hold a conversation down. Oh, oof. Having to make small talk for both of them. Oof, it's tough.
Yep.
I'm in splendid isolation, feel that heavy silence fall. Kind of almost feels like a Rock Island moment.
That's the most positive line out of this song, I guess. Like he's enjoying it a little bit. That moment of silence, because it's a breath for him. It's a moment of respite.
Yeah. Or is it just that, when you're out in the middle of Alaska with no one around for thousands of miles and you just have that moment of like, whoa, this is splendid.
Yeah. You are truly in the wilderness.
There's a lot of splend
Yeah.
I'm spending a lot of money to be here.
He sounds like he did for this too. Although a $50 check. Oh no.
What, in 1991?
In 91, I know.
Here I am drinking you with my eyes. You're looking at the gravy on my bib. Ooh. God.
Oh, but next, I go weak-kneed at the suggestion of you.
Here I am drinking you with my eyes. You're looking at the gravy on my bib. I go weak-kneed at the suggestion of you.
Yes, this is a little bit, Nick,
Omen.
here in year 5, I am going to get out a new manila folder and create a new category of Jethro Tull song for us to put this into.
Tell me. I'm so excited.
Love, parentheses, glutton for punishment.
Comma, unrequited.
Yeah, or at least what was the word you used? Unbalanced.
Yeah.
I'm suffering and I like it.
He does feel a little masochistic here. I mean, he's kind of bitching, but there's also this element of really starting to dig it. Maybe he likes that Dami relationship. Wanna share what that was?
Hunting Girl.
Oh, that was Hunting Girl?
Well, it was part of Hunting Girl. It wasn't the whole thing.
Yeah. Hunting Girl also happens in the wilderness, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a modern day Hunting Girl.
One of the good things about the wilderness, we've been talking about the negative aspects of the wilderness, but one of the good things about the wilderness is that in the absence of society, you can be who you really are. So maybe there's a benefit for the singer to be in the wilderness of this other person because they are relieved from any pretense of being someone else. I also want to point out another sailing reference in here. What's wrong with the cut of my jib? The jib is the foremost sail on a sailing ship.
Yeah, I have a little nugget on that, actually.
A jib nugget?
A nugget of jib, if you will.
I'm driving, so just a half nugget.
Just
for me.
half a nugget. So it originally meant that a person was recognized by the shape of their nose. The jib is that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
It has now come to indicate that someone thinks of a person's appearance or demeanor. I like the cut of his jib. I like his attitude. The term originated in the sailing navies of the mid-18th century when the nationality of warships sighted at sea could be accurately determined by the shape of their jib long before the national flag could be seen. For instance, French jibs were cut much shorter on the luff than English ones, giving a distinctively more acute angle in the clew. How's that for sailing terms?
I love that. That was a thank you for that.
Thank you, OxfordReference.com.
Thank you, OxfordReference.com.
That's the new single from Tull.
I was imagining it like a commercial in the 1990s. OxfordReference.com.
That's what it felt like, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a lobster in the offing or just a $50 check?
What's wrong with the cut of my jib? Is there a lobster in the offing? Oh, just a $50 check.
Right. Are we going to dine on this sensuous crustacean or am I just going to drop a bunch of money?
Right, yeah.
Am I going to drop money for nothing or am I going to get lobster?
Lobster.
Wink. Which I think is a stand-in for probably, Salvador Dali was fond of the lobster metaphor because it is he loved juxtaposing hard and soft images.
Oh, interesting.
And so the lobster is a great way of doing that because it's soft on the inside,
Yeah.
hard on the outside.
Yes. As opposed to the other way around.
Soft on the outside and hard on the inside, like humans.
Yes.
Some of us softer than others.
And then we just get another chorus, and that's it.
So overall, I mean, It almost feels... I have no evidence to support this at all. But there's something that reminds me of like... It feels like it could be Cajun-y.
Oh. Just the bluesy...
Just by virtue of the blues and the
bluesy
seafood.
funk and the seafood, the stew, the rice, catfish.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
But it doesn't sound like Zydeco. It doesn't sound like Bayou rock. He's not singing in Pigeon French.
That'd be really cool, had he.
It'd be very cool.
Maybe this is the closest that we get. I mean, this is the closest that we get. This is a decidedly American sound that is being projected through this British speaker.
Well, I mean, also England, the British Isles has a long tradition of being seafaring, obviously, as we know from history, and pirates, probably. But, there's something universal about this, this kind of like seaside, watery, wildernessy, unequal relationship. This could be happening on an island off of Greece as easy as it could be in Cornwall or
Massachusetts.
Yes, or Biloxi.
Mississippi?
Oh yeah, it could be Biloxi because it's on. I was worried that it was inland, but it's not.
Yeah, I think the only notable places in Mississippi are on the river, most likely.
It's on the ocean.
Oh. So final thoughts on Night in the Wilderness, Omen.
Final thoughts on Night in the Wilderness. It's a chewy, delicious piece of okra that is bringing an important element to the gumbo of the album of Catfish Rising.
Thoughts on okra, Omen, go.
I love okra.
I do too.
A lot of people dislike it because it's slimy, but if you know how to work with it, oh my God, I love it. I love pickled okra. I love fried okra.
Yes.
I love okra in stew.
Didn't your mom pickle okra? Did I get a jar of pickled okra from your mom?
She pickled a number of things, peppers mostly. Maybe some okra slipped in there, but I don't recall her pickling. I don't remember her growing okra.
Oh, I got a jar of pickled okra from somebody. Enjoyed the shit out of it. Whoever that was, thank you, I guess.
Nick, final thoughts on Catfish Rising, the album, the era.
Goodness gracious. Yes, super American-y sound, very bluesy, not a complaint at all. It is part of that growth, that exploration that Tull has, that natural evolution, and it is that natural progression leading into, we're not getting into that just yet because we're hitting a couple of pieces off of Nightcap. But technically, chronologically, we're going into Roots to Branches, which I think sonically works. I think it works. I think we see this evolution.
And I don't necessarily agree. I can understand why people have disliked the grouping of Crest, Rock Island, and Catfish. I think they're wrong for not liking them. But I get it. And I think that they do represent a little bit of an era, and now we're moving into a new era. We're moving kind of into the digital Tull era. Tull in a new age.
I think Roots is that natural missing link between this trilogy, quote unquote, that we just finished going into J. Tull. I think they do work. But I could very comfortably say that Crest, Rock Island, Catfish, and Roots are a quadrilogy. I would be very comfortable listening to them in a single chunk, just like I'm comfortable listening to the folk trio.
I'm not comfortable with anyone ever using the term quadrology around my presence.
Well, it's happened.
Again.
It's happened. It's taken 22 years, but it happened.
I thought it was in my rider. Catfish will always be one of my very, very favorite albums. Mm-hmm. I think that there is something about the exotification of an American experience from outside of America that I love. I think that's so, because that's sort of the way that I view America sometimes is I have to, in order to make it interesting, I have to exotify it for myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it exotifies me.
And it cannot keep you as a pet without a very special license.
Exactly. Otherwise, it would have to go to get a quadrology license. It would have to get a sign off from a quadrologist.
There you go. There you go. The doctor of rectangles.
Doctor of 4 different things. What are they? I can't tell you. You wouldn't understand.
You'll find out eventually. Get a protractor. So as I said, we are getting into Nightcap. We're not getting into completely Nightcap because the first half of Nightcap is really just a lot of the Chateau Disaster tapes. It's a lot of instrumental stuff that sounds very similar to Passion Play, or Passion Play had a baby with War Child. So we're skipping those. We're only going into, I mean, we do have 15 that we're going through. So it's not like we're not, yeah. Yes.
Oh my God.
Omen's jaw just dropped. Yeah. Yeah. We've got The Thin Ice, which is actually a cover. That's not even on Nightcap. I found that elsewhere. So we've got Thin Ice, The Thin Ice next week. Then we've got Left, Right, Piece of Cake, Silver River Turning, Crew Nights, The Curse, Rosa on the Factory Floor 1 and 2, Man of Principle, Commons Brawl, No Step, Drive on the Young Side of Life, I Don't Want to Be Me, Lights Out, Truck Stop Runner, and then Hardliner.
Exciting stuff to get into, new territory for me, and really getting into the unknown here for myself. But excited to have such excellent company as all of you listening. They say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And we, with your help, are certainly going all the way.
Until next week, I am the gravy on your bib, Nick McGill.
I'm the one who keeps tabs on the crab, Omen Thomas Sade.
We are the catfish jumping, the feckless momes.
And brr, is it cold out here? This is Talk Tull to me.
Hey, Claws!
Hey,
Claws!
hey.
I didn't think I would ever see you over at this side of the tank.
Hey, Krusty, I just wanted to go for a walk and stretch out my little legs here.
Clip, clap, clip, clap. Yeah, you got so many legs to stretch.
You don't have rubber bands on your claws. That's impressive. How'd you get those off?
I know! I was stepping around, just feeling the water on the exoskeleton, and somebody came into the tank, one of those Who-mans.
Yeah?
With they opposable thumbs and all. And I guess he must have been in some kind of a hurry. You know, a rush. Because he had a knife. And I went like, flip-flop, squip-squap. With a big beat of my tail, I zoomed up and I caught the rubber band on one claw, and here's where we are.
Wow, don't let any of those humans see that. They're gonna rubber band you right back up.
Oh, do you want out of your bands?
Oh, could you clip that for me?
Yeah, let me get over here.
Be careful, I'm scared. Oh!
Go! Faster than you could ever imagine.
Been so long since I've been able to stretch my pincers. Oh, they're so stiff.
Yeah,
pincers.
Just open them and close them.
I feel the goo inside squishing in and out. It feels great.
Oh, hey.
What's that?
Careen your eyeballs on stalks over here in this direction.
Zoop, 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 zoop.
Look at that. It's 2 humans
What?
doing a mating ritual.
Oh, that is disgusting and I cannot look away.
Nothing in the textbooks prepared me for how hideous these humans are when they are doing their mating dance. But it does not appear to be going well in this case.
They eat while they court one another? That is...
I don't know how they manage to procreate with such disgusting behavior, but that one seems to be doing all the jaw wagging.
Yeah.
His mandibles keep going.
While he is eating crab, no less.
Yeah.
And that other one looks miserable.
She, I assume it is a she being because I once read about how to distinguish humans, and that's what it looks like.
Their secondary sex characteristics are generally longer hair and smaller stature, is what I remember.
You have the textbook right there. That's perfect.
I was checking it. I wanted to resource
okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh, she just opened her mouth and intook a bunch of oxygen to stave off brain death.
It was a big inhale. It was a big one.
Yeah.
They have lungs, right? They don't have gills.
They got something like that,
That's
yes.
so stupid.
Yeah. Oh, he's looking around like for help.
Oh, he's flagging over another human.
He's asking for a bottle of spicy water.
Spicy water. I guess that would make the date go better. The courtship.
Her mandibles are turning up at the sides.
Oh, she seems to be fond of the spicy water.
She just palpated him with her dominant pincer, her weak little pincer that doesn't even have any teeth on it.
There's no exoskeleton on that pincer. What are you gonna do with that?
How is this the dominant species of the planet?
It's disgusting. What if they fell in the water? They'd die.
Oh, they're locking mandibles. Oh my God. Are they fighting?
No, it must be for dominance.
They're both winning.
They're gonna pass out. There's no oxygen.
Oh, they're looking into each other's ocular orbs.
Which are not on stalks, might I add.
Yes, there's a lot of fancy feet work. I don't know how they can do a courtship dance with so few limbs.
But they are doing something under that table.
Oh, he's calling over for the waiter again.
Oh,
the waiter's going over to the head chef.
uh-oh.
The head chef's talking to the busboy.
Okay.
The busboy's gone out for a cigarette.
Oh, I'm so excited.
The head chef is now talking to the sommelier.
Yes, go on.
The sommelier's making a recommendation to the sous chef.
It's like a Rube Goldberg experiment of waitstaff.
Sous chef is coming over here.
Oh, hello. What's going on?
Do you remember reading in the Human Studies book about how lobsters are considered victorious aphrodisiacs?
For consumption? Yes, I do remember that, and I laughed when I read it.
There's a hand coming into the tank. Oh no! Claws!
Krusty!
Claws!
No, I'll miss you, Krusty!
Talk Delta is a proud member of the Feckless Moms Audio Network.